Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Return Policy. Today I'm doing a mini review on the officially licensed Horipad wired controller for the Nintendo Switch. So I'll be honest, I'm a big fan of the Switch's included Joy-Cons, and even though I go through quite a bit of first and third party controllers, I always find myself going back to the little left and right Joy-Cons that came with the system. And in my particular case, I'm also crazy about testing all sorts of accessories that's popped up purely just for the Joy-Cons, including one of my personal favorites, the PDP armor guards, and another one of my favorites, the booty bumped silicone cases from Orsley that I've done a previous review on. So more and more often, my playing ratio of portable versus docked has been kind of one-sided. Mainly 85% I've been playing it as a portable, and the other 15% I've been playing it docked, say for multiplayers, or if I just want to kick back and watch it on the big screen. So the aptly named Horipad was designed by Hori themselves and currently goes for a retail price of $29.99. So I've actually seen these guys pop up on store shelves at local Targets or local Walmarts, and I thought, oh, why even fight the impulse? So I went ahead and picked one up for myself so I can test it out and give it a good shot and review. So even though I saw these on the shelves, I still wanted to do a little bit of research. So definitely a word of warning on a very misleading listing on the Target.com website. So when you try to search for this guy online, the first thing you're going to notice that it's the Horipad wireless controller. And I gave it the benefit of the doubt, but it really is not a wireless controller. When I saw the pictures and images on the website, I thought, oh man, that's a cool nifty charging cable that's USB and it can be disconnected. Absolutely not. Do not be misled by the Target.com listing. It is not a wireless controller, and I can attest to that. It is definitely a wired controller. Okay, for the controller itself, as far as being a very well constructed and a very durable feeling controller, it is a little bit on the light side because it's wired and it doesn't have an internal battery. So if you're used to that feel of that'll heft, you're not going to get it from this one. And one of the coolest, I would say probably the niftiest gimmick that the Horipad has is this guy right here, which is the detachable D-pad. And so based on my previous reviews and even a lot of feedback that I've gotten, that the D-pad on the official Nintendo Pro controller is not very accurate. And I can definitely attest to that. And I've tried it and found out that when you rock the left or right sides of the Pro controller D-pad, it actually misinterprets your input and does a either up left or an up right direction, even though you're just say double tapping forward. And so I believe Hori had designed this controller with that kind of issue in mind. So as far as the gimmick goes, you'll notice that it comes with a kind of a traditional D-pad. I want to say it's more akin to maybe the Xbox 360 style D-pad, kind of a little bit more recessed, but definitely functional. And if you don't like that, you can actually pop the D-pad accessory off and you're left with more of a purely digital friendly style D-pad, very similar to say the Sony controllers. I'm thinking more of the PlayStation 4 or even the original PlayStation controllers where they were just up, down, left, right. And so you actually have two different options. And what's also kind of cool to go along with that gimmick is since you have this kind of extra piece lying around, the rear of the Horipad doubles as a holder for that piece. So you don't easily lose it, like I would definitely have lost that piece a long time ago if this kind of attachment or this little connector didn't exist. So what you're potentially spending your money on, the Horipad is a very well made and very well constructed controller. There are a few omissions that they made versus the more pricier official Nintendo Pro controller. One including the rumble features, in particular the HD rumbles that you get on the Pro controller, as well as the Joy-Cons, as well as the gyroscopic controls that's primarily useful for games like Splatoon 2, or if you want to do a little bit of driving for, say, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. All in all, this is a very competent controller, perfect for an additional player for some multiplayer Mario Kart, Bomberman, or the plethora of indie games that offer some multiplayer support. So even though it's wired, this is definitely a good controller for some multiplayer games, as long as somebody doesn't get too excited and yanks on the controller, taking the whole console system with them, since the a docked Nintendo Switch is a heck of a lot lighter than a big old hefty Xbox One or a PS4. And unfortunately, there's no kind of Xbox era disconnect, so if this one gets yanked, yeah, it's pulling everything with it. So if you do decide on this controller, yeah, be careful. So my verdict goes, even though say early on in the Switch's lifetime, this would have been a very, very good alternative as to spending a lot of money on the Nintendo Pro controller. Nowadays there are a lot of good choices for third-party controllers for the Nintendo Switch. Case point, this guy right here, which is the 8-bit Do, or any of the 8-bit Do kind of more recent controllers, with some updated firmware would work just fine. Or even if you want to use something like this guy here, a neat little adapter that allows you to use, existing PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4 controllers. Those would all work fine. And me, I'm a sucker that I still like using the Joy-Cons themselves. So I do prefer using something like this, the PDP Armor Guards, or even the Orsley silicone case, and more recently the kind of the Mamba protective case here with a little bit more grip. So with all that said, I would have to say the officially licensed Horipad would be a return it. And I think you can still find much better alternatives, even for a decent price tag for $29.99. You can find some decent alternatives online or elsewhere. All right, everybody, thank you so much for taking the time to watch my little review on this guy right here. I hope this was informative, even though you might have seen these on store shelves and got a little curious if it's worth it. I think it is still a good controller, but I also think there are good options available. And I hope that has informed you. And if it has, go ahead and hit that like button. If it hasn't informed you and you have much better controllers already, go ahead and hit that dislike button. That's cool too. But all in all, I just want to say thank you guys for taking the time to watch these videos. Shoot, I'm already up to 25. I don't plan on stopping anytime soon, so if you want to stick with me for the semi-long run, go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well. Much appreciated. Anyways, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.